Okay, guys, welcome back to another Footy Consultancy podcast. Today we have a special guest, Kane Evans. Welcome, Kane.
Cheers. Nice to meet you.
How's COVID been treating you?
The same as usual for everyone. Not very great, is it?
Yeah, I can understand. Same for us.
Frustrating.
Well, I'll hand over to my co-host, Carl, and we'll crack on.
Hey, Kane, you all right?
Yeah,
So, for those that don't know you, Kane was a scholar with Sunderland. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk through his pathway from grassroots into the academy football, into the scholarship, and basically what happened there and what he's up to now. So if you want to start off with, Kane, and just explain to us how you first got into football.
To be honest, when I was young, I was probably about 6 or 7. I never really liked football, to be honest. I used to go and watch my brother play, and it just wasn't for me, really. Yeah. And then there was one game I remember I went to his games, and I was just having a kick around at half time with my oldest brother. And one of the Wallsend scouts, because my brother was currently playing at Wallsend at the time, one of the Wallsend scouts wanted us to start playing, and I said to my mum, I don't really like playing football, to be honest. I don't know if I want to. She just said, give it a go, give it a go. So I give it a go, and I ended up enjoying it. And then I only played grassroots till I was probably under 8, and then I signed for Sunderland when I was under 8. So the rest of the time I was just at academy level until I was 19.
So when you first went to Sunderland, did you go into the pre-academy or did you go into the full academy system?
It was like it was like a little workshop kind of thing. It was up in Bedlington at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd done 6 weeks there, and then they moved us on to like the proper academy bit. I'd done 6 weeks there, and then they offered us a contract.
And what was the step up like going from grassroots to academy football?
To be honest, at the time of under 8, I didn't really find much of a difference, to be honest. I don't know whether that's just because not to be big-headed, I was better than most of the grassroots players, or whether it's just because we're that young, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can understand. Sure. My current role at Middlesbrough, I'm with the 9s and 10s. And the transition is probably a little bit easier at that age, I'd imagine, than it would be when you're older.
Easier.
And especially, I think the environment that academies create as well, I think it's ideal for young players.
Yeah.
So, obviously, your first few years of Sunderland, what was it like when you started transitioning more into 11-a-side?
For any kid, when you first go into 11-a-side, you find it difficult, don't you? Like trying to get a grips of trying to get fit of how big the pitch is and the goals and stuff. But I always found it, like, obviously with the players around you as well at academy level, it just made everything a lot easier, and especially with the facilities and the coaches at Sunderland in them days. They were top when they were in the Premier League. It was top level, really. The facilities were a lot greater than probably the other North East clubs around, so I found it quite easy, to be honest.
In what positions did you predominantly play when you went into 11-a-side?
Well, when I first got scouted to go to Sunderland, I was a right winger. I was in a striker at Wallsend. Yeah. And as my career went on, I just got moved back. I ended up at right back. So I don't know what that suggests, but
I think now with the modern day right back, they have a lot of attributes that you would probably associate with a right winger, and pace and intensity. I know a lot of players that have transitioned further back on the pitch. Yeah. Can you remember any particular players that you played against that have now went on to actually are playing in the Premier League?
Oh yeah, Phil Foden, Jadon Sancho, Billy Gilmore, Tariq Lamptey, all them. It's just crazy. Sancho. I remember one game for the under 18s, but I wasn't actually playing this one, but it was the under 18s, and I remember him just getting the ball from his own corner flag and just running the whole pitch and just scoring. I was just like standing there like, what's just happened? Man.
It's quite exciting when you consider that a lot of those players will probably be playing in the Euros this summer for England as well. Was anybody at Sunderland at the time?
When I was a scholar, we played Chelsea in the quarter-final of a cup, and the team that had out Billy Gilmore and everyone, we only got beat on their extra time as well. So
yeah, I think Chelsea have got an amazingly strong academy.
They do. Them and Man City was the strongest, like 100%.
Yeah.
But that's probably just because of money the clubs have got as well, which helps them out.
What about in the Northeast? Was any particular standout players?
There's a few at Borough and stuff who play first team level now, like the likes of Steve Walker and stuff, but not like to the level of the others. But I can't really remember any from Newcastle. Maybe it's Elliot Anderson, who's now just breaking into the first team as well. But other than that, not really.
So we just say that the cohort of players in the Northwest and then in London were a lot stronger than what we'll have in the North.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
What do you think that's down to?
I don't know. Probably just the money that other clubs have got compared to probably the Northeast. You know what I mean? Like, money attracts players these days. And obviously, there's a lot more people in London and probably the Northwest than there is in the Northeast as well, which helps. But I just think the club's facilities down there as well. Just.
So did you
I mean,
think
I'd say
Go on, Sean.
from my perspective as well, a lot of the players that have gone through that system have still, you know, connected with street football. Is that something that's coming up in your way?
Not really, to be honest, nah.
Okay.
You don't see many kids now like street football and stuff. I know when I was growing up, I'd never really done that. I was just focused about the academy, really.
Yeah, definitely in the Northeast, in the Northwest and in London, a lot of these guys, they'll go to their academies and afterwards, even before and after, they'll go up to the cages and play with the local boys.
Yeah, I never done that.
When you are playing, say, in the YDP, so in between under 13s and under 16s, and then going into the scholar program, did you find that the level of these bigger clubs increased massively once you went to the 13s?
Massively, yeah, because obviously then you start getting paid, and not even just getting paid, it's just so when it goes to under 18, just like a North and a South League, to be fair. So we didn't play like Chelsea and Arsenal and stuff. The best team we played were probably Man City and United, really.
Yeah.
But even then, you can see the quality level when you go from under 16 to under 18, whereas like under 16, you might only get beat 1-0, or you might have a chance within them games. But when you go to under 18 levels, I just found I had no chance, really.
Yeah, I noticed I was watching Middlesbrough's under 18s play against Liverpool a few months back at the academy. And one thing that stood out to me was a lot of the Liverpool team weren't from Liverpool.
Yeah, so a lot of them Liverpool team have came from Sunderland. There's a few players who have left Sunderland to go to Liverpool. There's a lad I know, Luke Hewitson as well, who's also went from Sunderland to Liverpool. A lot of people are leaving the Northeast clubs to go to the bigger clubs like that.
And do you think that's the financial power of these bigger clubs, that they can just, once they get to that age group, can just hand pick the best players from the other clubs?
Yeah, 100% it is. But at the same time, they might go to Liverpool, but you're not, unless you're unbelievable, there's not really like a massive pathway to the first team, whereas it could be at like the likes of Sunderland now, who are in League Two, and Middlesbrough, who are in the Championship and stuff. So I get why they do it for the financial reason, but for the career reason, you would maybe you've got more of a chance of staying at that club to get first team chances, really.
Yeah, I think that's something that even with somebody as good as what you said of Jadon Sancho, he was bought by Manchester City when he was younger because he's from London. He had to leave Manchester City to get first team football.
Yeah, exactly.
And he had to go to Borussia Dortmund, and that's someone. And if you're saying he's one of the best players you've ever seen, and he's had to leave one of those clubs, it does quite, I suppose, put that question mark in your head if you're a young player and a big club comes into you, that what is my pathway to the first team? And if you're going to a mega rich club, I suppose they can just go buy the finished article.
Yeah.
Go out and spend 100 million on somebody. So it must be quite difficult from that perspective.
Yeah, but I just think at the same time, if you're at a club like Sunderland now who are in League One, and a club like Liverpool or Man City comes calling, you can't really turn it down at the same time, can you? But for your career-wise and get first-team chances, you probably shouldn't go, but you can't exactly turn a massive European club down like that.
And I
I
suppose
was going to ask you something. Sorry, I was going to ask you something around your time at that age group. If you wasn't getting any first team football, did you ever get offered the chance to go out on loan anywhere?
Well, that's what I was going to get at. When I signed the third-year scholar, I wasn't really playing much for the under-23s and stuff, and it was a bit frustrating. I asked to go on loan. He said, no, we want to stick you around with the under-23s. And I must have had about 2 meetings, I think it was, because then obviously COVID suspended the rest of the season. I said I wanted to go on loan to try and get some men's football, even if it's just the level I'm at now, just to get some experience, and they wouldn't let us go on loan. So some clubs let you go on loan, some clubs don't, but I just felt I was getting wasted, not playing at all, and not being allowed to go on loan. I just found it a bit strange, to be honest.
Yeah.
So how did that transition into leaving Sunderland?
Well, I got offered that third-year scholar. I wasn't really playing much that season, which was last season. And then COVID, we only played about 60% of the season, and COVID obviously got postponed. And then I got a phone call 3 days after my contract had already expired. And I hadn't heard a word from Sunderland saying that they didn't want to keep it anymore. So my contract was already up anyway, to be honest. And it was the same with a lot of the lads, but they left it like ridiculously late. So yeah, I got the phone call saying they didn't want to keep it anymore. So
yeah, I recall that happening. It was how many of you got released? It was quite a lot, wasn't it?
oh yeah, like nearly the whole squad. To be honest, we've really struggled, but at the same time, a lot of the best players were out on loan, and we were quite a young team, and the clubs at under 23 level have money to spend on big players, and those like other teams were playing some first teamers who weren't playing for their first team, and we weren't really playing any first team. So we're quite a young team, just getting battered every week, to be honest.
And do you think a lot of the decision to release that many players was possibly down to the financial situation that Sunderland found them in?
That's what I thought at the time. But now I look back on it, and they've signed quite a lot of older players, like 22-year-olds, 21-year-olds, who are probably, the wage budget's probably more than what it was last season. So it's probably not the reason. It's probably just purely because we were getting battered every week and it didn't look good on the club.
Because there was a lot of speculation at the time, wasn't it? That's the reason why they were releasing all of the players.
Yeah. That's what I generally thought at the time as well. But now I look back at it, and they've signed all them without under 23s. It can't be the reason financially.
So how did you feel after, obviously, you've been at Sunderland for 12 years, to be told that's it, it's over?
I was good, but at the same time, I kind of expected it, to be honest, after the season I had, because as a second-year scholar, I was playing for the 23s, and I was the only under-18 playing for the under-23s. And then I was playing quite a lot of games for them, and then the season after, when I was an actual 23, I just got frozen out. I just found it a bit strange, and I must have only played about 4 games all season. I just thought, well, it's not going to be positive news at the end of the season, really, is it?
So that would have been last summer.
Yeah.
And I know that in the end that you signed for Newcastle Benfield. Did you have any other options?
My agent was on about trying to go to other countries and stuff, but at the time of it, my head wasn't really in it anymore. I didn't know if I wanted to be in full-time football anymore. I didn't know, because he said we could maybe go look at like a Scottish League One and stuff, but then it meant like traveling all the way to up there twice a week or whatever, and maybe not get loads of money and stuff. I don't know if it was really worth it. And then at the end, I just decided to stay down here, try and play some men's football and get some experience and see if I could get back up. But obviously, I've played about 4 games and the season's been suspended. So,
and obviously, we know what's happened with the Northern League this season, and it's had a huge effect on the northeast scene of football, because we have got a huge non-league scene up here, and you do see a lot of players transition out of academy football into the non-league. But for those small amount of games that you did play, how did you find the standard of the Northern League compared to playing for the Scholars?
It's a lot different. I think under 23s football is quite fake to be compared to men's football, in all fairness. I found the standard, I coped with the standard fine. I thought the standard was fine for me. I feel like I could go up still, but it's just the physical element, like playing against fully grown men and stuff. It's just, they're much taller than you, they're much more experienced, they know how to use their body and stuff. It's just trying to get the hang of what to do with my body and how to, maybe it's not like in youth football, you could maybe go and like press someone and get close to someone because you knew that there was similar strength. You could just put your arm out if they tried to get past you. But in men's football, you've got to be a lot more smart about your play, really.
Yeah, definitely. I try to get along to quite a bit of Northern League football. I was at the game when you beat Ashton at Ashton earlier on in the season. And you can see that's evident to see there's some players playing in that division. And even at Newcastle Benfield, you know, your centre forward, he's been everywhere, he's done everything, and he's still finding goals.
Yeah.
So there's excellent players at that level.
Oh yeah, there is 100%. There should be people a lot higher than that level, but people if you go up one more level, you have to travel and stuff. So some lads aren't that committed to do the travelling side, but there's a lot of people in that league who should be playing at a much higher level than what they are.
And I think we've seen that in recent times with the likes of Spennymoor Town going through the divisions. They've still got players that were from the Northern League. South Shields, Morpeth. There's players at Blythe Spartans that are from the Northern League. So I think there's definitely a pathway from the Northern League back into the.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just whether you want to take the commitment of traveling around the country and playing games again, because some people are just comfortable playing around the area, working through the week, and that's sorted. They don't want to travel around the country on a Saturday, really.
Well, I think that's something that I've seen with a few of the lads when I worked at Newcastle United Foundation who were playing at the higher end. You know, at the time, work was brilliant with them and it would allow them that time to go travel. But I suppose if you have a job where they're not flexible and you have a game on a Wednesday night away to Chorley, that's going to be a nightmare. It's a 3-hour drive to be able to get the time off work to go play in that game.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, that's a commitment you've got to take if you want to try and make it as a professional footballer, really. If you want to make it again and get up the levels, you're going to have to put some things aside. And if that means work and you want to try and risk getting back up there, then you're going to have to. But at the same time, if you don't want to, then just
with the challenges you're finding in men's football now, do you wish you took on that challenge when you was a bit younger?
Yeah, 100%. The body. 100%, because when they wouldn't let us go out alone, that's a step I'm doing now. I should have done that last year. And maybe this season I could have, after having that men's experience, I could have been a league or two above what I am now.
Yeah. And when you were growing up, were there any players that you looked up to, like when you had to do your little studies, when you was in the stands watching Sunderland, or any other players from other clubs that, you know, were inspiration to you?
To be honest, as a scholar, my first year scholar, and I know that Sunderland were really struggling there now in the Championship and they got relegated again. But the best professional and role model I've saw my career is John O'Shea. When he was at Sunderland, he was unbelievable. Yeah. Especially, like, he won everything and he was the most humble out of the whole squad. Like, he would interact with us, he would talk to us, and he would do everything 100%. Whereas you get some other people at the time who were the team in the Championship, and I know maybe they're from a different country, so they don't understand, but they were just very stuck up and big time. But John O'Shea was the most humble and real out of them all, and he's won everything you can nearly win. So.
And I remember a time when you guys had a really brilliant front three. You had like Danny Welbeck, and you had the other guy named forward.
Oh, Asamoah Gyan.
Asamoah Gyan doing all the dances at the corner flag. How did it feel like watching guys like that?
It was weird because I don't support Sunderland, I support Newcastle, but I still although I do, it's a massive rival, but when you spend that much time at a club, you love that club as well. Like, I still look out for Sunderland results, and I still hope to do well, even though I am a Newcastle fan, which some people might find weird. But
Yeah.
it was crazy from when I was 15, 16, and the club won the Premier League, to then my last year of Scholar, they're in League One. It's mad to see the difference of how clubs can free fall down the leagues.
Yeah. It's like a free fall, basically.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, but literally the season before I went into Scholar, they were in the Premier League, and then I went into Scholar, went in the Championship, and obviously they still had Ellis Short as the owner. They still threw quite a lot of money at it in the Championship. They had a good squad. They should have done a lot better than what they did. Maybe even in the playoffs, and they ended up getting relegated. And then one thing led to another, and this is the third season in League One.
I mean, with the experience you're getting now in men's football, and with some of the players that might not have been exposed to that who are currently at the club, do you think it could be something that improves you to the point where Sunderland might want to sign you back?
I'm not sure about Sunderland, to be honest. I just think, I don't know if I'd really want to massively go back to there. I just feel like I've spent 11 years at that club. If I was to go back into full-time football, I'd want a fresh start, new faces, and because I think my last year of the Scholar, when I was getting frustrated and not playing, at the same time, I felt like I was losing the motivation of being at that club for too long. I know some people say, well, you should have stuck in Grassroots for longer, but what happens if I'd passed on the chance of signing for the academy and never came back to us at Grassroots level, and I would have been stuck at, like, I wouldn't even have got the scholarship chance. So
yeah,
it's a tough one.
Makes sense.
So what are your plans going forward for next season?
To be honest, I haven't really spoken to my agent about it, but I'm assuming I'll probably be at Benfield again. I need to get a full season of men's football before I do anything. 4 games of men's football is literally nothing. So I need to get a full, unless another team who's higher of men's football comes in for us, then I'll be at Benfield.
No chance of you joining your brother at Blythe?
Oh, nah. To be fair, I was training with them last pre-season, but I just felt like we're playing the same position, so it's just like, I'm not going to go in there and try and whatever, because
force him out.
Not even that. Like, they're not going to drop him. They love him up there, aren't they? So I'll just be sitting on the bench. So it'll just be a waste again, really.
I think, well, there's other options as well. Would you be prepared to travel, or do you want to stay in the northeast?
I would be prepared to travel, as in, like, if it was full-time football again, but like if it was maybe 2-3 times a week and I had to travel, what, like 3 hours or 2 hours to training, I don't know if that's for me, because I just find, and it wasn't, unless it was really worth it as in money terms as well. Like, I'm not going to travel like 2.5 hours to get like hardly any money, and I'm spending more on petrol and stuff than I am to actually play football. But if it was in terms of like moving up a league, some maybe it's like a South Shields or whatever, and I had to travel around, I would happily do that.
Yeah. But Kane, we'll wrap it up there and just say thank you very much for coming on today, and wish you all the best, and hopefully you can get back on the grass and start climbing that pyramid again, and we'll see you back where you belong.
Spot on. Thank you for having us, lads.
No problem.
No problem.
Right. Watch what you're doing. Take care.
See you later.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.